All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending today's Cogitates webinar. It's going to be a good one. We have quite a few things we're going to be talking about today. So first, I'm going to cover the updates, and then I will work on I'll show the first parts of creating your different uploads and download files for the IRS. And then Paul will take you through the actual signing into the IRS and doing an upload and submit. We did have one little issue come up this morning, so we're hoping it will do it. They turned off our software developer license, so we'll have to wait for another one to come through. So we may not be able to show the 1099 upload, but we will get a webinar or video out there when that does become available to us again. But we have hopes that maybe by the time we go to show it, it will be available, but we will show the W-2 and the ACA today. So let's get started. Again, if you have any questions, we will try to stop at the end of each topic to give chance for questions on that topic. You can put them through chat and you can unmute. And if we don't get to it, we can certainly try to get to anything via, afterwards. You can send me an email. You can call me for anything additional that you want to talk about individually. Our next webinar is January 8th at 10 a.m. We'll probably be doing more IRS stuff at that point because it'll be more finalized. So if you haven't done your submission by then certainly it'll be a good one to attend. I wanted to cover our coming up holiday hours. The 22nd, we will be open until 12. And then the 25th, 6th, and 7th, we're going to be having a good time with the holiday season. And then January 1st, of course, we'll be off. But we'll be back on the 2nd for a solid year of good old-fashioned hard work in getting stuff and software updated for you, ability to do your jobs easier. All right, so let's begin with the updates. We did some work to my work, some updates to my work, and let me get to that. Added to the employees their ability to review their W-2s. So if an employee selects it, he will go right in, or this you'll be able to pick all the way back to the beginning year, so 2020, and he can load his 2020, and his form looks like this. Sign in with a different employee, so you'll see how it will work for when they first sign in. Get the right password. All right, so your normal employees will come up with this one first. So what we do is this is all the legal stuff that the IRS requires us to go through and have your employees sign, but rather than having you have to have a form and all of that on file, or we put together the electronic version of it. So basically your employees will have to first acknowledge that they've read and did it. Then they can say whether they wish to receive their W-2s via electronically. If they just pick paper, they can pick both, by the way. But if they just want paper, then the W-2s on the website won't show up for them. But if they pick, both, then the W-2s will show up and they'll be able to, putting in their last 4 digits of their social, they'll be able to hit submit. If all of that works, then it'll show up like, I can't remember the Social Security numbers of my test data. So then it will show up like we showed for the last one. Where'd I go? Yeah, then it will look like this for once they sign in, they'll go to the W-2 page. And again, they can pick whatever year they want, the last 5 years. And then once they load it, they can download it and they can print it if they have a printer turned on. And yes, this does work on a phone. There is a couple of things that you have to do. I forgot about that. Let me cover that real quick. In MyWorks, if we go to the settings and you go to the MyWork part, you do say what year. So like if you're not ready to release the 2023s, you just put in 2022 here and the 2023s a thing. And if you don't want to let them see it, if you don't even want to have the W-2 thing at all, you can simply turn it off. And it won't then none of the W-2s will ever show up at all on the ProFund Accounting on the MyWork website. We did the supervisor attachment to the MyWork. We kind of covered a little bit of that on the last webinar. We have then we fixed several issues that just little bug fixes that have come up. You can kind of read about those on your own. The one I wanted to do was the W-2 to properly report tips and wages. I wanted to cover that. And then the other one you should know is fringe spread is changing from the FB to TV for transfer. You know, we used to have transfer vouchers for fringe spread. We're changing that to its own source of entry called FB internally. So as you go through there, you won't see transfer vouchers with your fringe spread. You will actually see an FB. And you can go ahead in General Ledger Post and modify and do the same things you do to transfer vouchers to an FB. Let's see, anything else we did? Payroll. Okay, a bunch of report updates we've done. Issue an unimport, a couple things. We've been changing the supervisor information screen around quite a bit. So we just got done doing that, and then we did it again here. So and this is about the W-2. And then we added the 1099 maintenance form. So we're going to cover that as well. And then we did a little bug fix on the account maintenance. When you're trying to duplicate account, it would only let you put in 9 characters for an account number instead of 10. So we just do a bug fix there. I'm not going to show that. All right, so let me get showing on the W-2 side to start with. So if we go to payroll, we go to start with pay types. We needed a place to be able to have a pay type. So some of the places that were receiving tip income could. So we have a little field on the pay type for tip income. So as long as they have a pay code for the tips, they could key in their pay code for they could create a pay code for tips, put it in, make it taxable, make it tip income. And then as they're posting the pay for an employee, they could, put some of the pay or the tip pay in the tip income, in the tip income pay type. Get that saying right. And once they do that, once they have that set up, then when they go to do W-2 and calculate the W-2s, and I'm going to go ahead and do it for 2023. There it is, Social Security tips. So yeah, I think I made all overtime look like tips. But you get the idea there, the tips come in. So then when you view the W-2, so if I go and modify one, the Social Security tips shows up. And as you go down through there, you'll see the different, tip forms and everything. Don't worry about the extra 2 zeros. It's just for the editing of the display. The other parts of it won't have the 2 zeros when you print it. Okay, so did I just close it? I did. I'm a closer, as they say. But I don't need to recalculate. So here's the same form. So we did a modify. Again, you can specify all your numbers. And then if you need to print the forms, you can print your copy A to the IRS, but most people aren't going to be able to do that. They're going to have to create the electronic file, which I'll cover in a minute. You can print the 4-up for your employees, one with instructions, one without. Depends if you buy the 4-ups pages with the instructions already printed on the back. You don't have to. You can print it on plain paper without, and then you can, and of course the W-3, but typically I don't think anybody is ever going to be doing the W-3 or the copy A form anymore because it's all, these both are electronically done now. So let's just cover, I'll just go into the W-1 in case you're still sending something to the state this way. But again, I think with the IRS being, it has the limit, it has a link to Michigan State. But we'll go ahead and print one. So again, here is we print on plain paper. We have the rights, we have we work with the IRS so we can print on plain paper, black and white. So here's your values for your different employees that you see here. And like I said, I wanted to make sure the tips and wages was handled correctly throughout for all the wages and things like that. So you want to just, when you calculate your W-2s, you're going to want to look at one of these just to make sure that everything is coming right in the box 13, the box 12, and the box 14. This is pretty much where most of the problems come in. We've had still some issues with some Social Security wages and Medicare wages when there's payments that were taken out pre-tax, but then were only marked as deferred and not exempt. So there's some issues that can happen in here depending on the exact order of things. But for the most part, the W-2s have been here for a long time, and we've been doing it this way for quite a while. So the software is fairly robust as far as all the little issues that we've come across. But if it's not adding up, or in the end, if you should just double check your 941s against a W-3 run, just to make sure that everything is taken care of. If you believe it all is, the SSA user ID is from your sign in to the BSA account. So if you sign into the BSO and log in with your ID.me, once you finally get all the way to the front sign-in page, your user ID will show there. We need to put this user ID here because it's part of the file. It's an 8-character field, and you should be able to put it in. So I'll put that in. And then you make sure you have the ones that you want to include. So if there is somebody here that really shouldn't be here, but you don't know why, we want to make sure you can uncheck them if you don't want to include them. Also to note, we have removed the restriction of them being active. So now we are loading every employee that has any kind of pay for the given year you've asked for. Okay, so then creating the W-2 file is pretty, anticlimactic. You basically just come in here, you specify a location where you want to put it, you give it the file name, and we pretty much put the 2003 EFW2 text. That's kind of the file name the IRS wants or suggests. So we go ahead and we create that file name. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I've already got one here in this folder, so I'm just going to replace the one. And that's pretty much all there is to it for creating it. And then I'll turn it over when Paul takes over. He'll show you from this point forward what you can do when you get to that point. But right now, I just want to cover the important talking points about it. So Paul's just covering just the upload section for the IRS. So creating it is pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to break it up here for a minute. And any questions about W-2s and creating your W-2s and getting it all ready for the upload or for the printing?
So the first thing I want to point out is something that we will be releasing in our next update for W-2s is a new button that we're going to have that'll take you directly to your Social Security Business Services account to upload your W-2s. So click OK. You log in. You input your code that they give you. And this will take you directly to, if you agree to their terms. I believe you have to do this every single time. So I select my user, and it takes me directly to my business services account. At this point, I'm assuming you've already applied for your wages to Social Security. So when you log in, it'll show right at this page, and you just click on the report wages to Social Security. You click I accept, and this is the electronic wage reporting service. So first thing I want to point you to is AccuWage Online. You could go there, and this is for you to test your upload file. So you click on here. And I want to do W-2s and then start testing. I believe I have my, and then it'll do test results. It's testing your upload file. It'll show you any issues or errors at the bottom. And so you can verify your upload file before you actually submit it. So then you can test another file, you can print the test report, but this will tell you if there's any errors in the upload file. To actually upload the file and submit it to the government, you will go to Upload Formatted Wage File here and click on Submit a Formatted Wage File. You click on the first one if it's not a resubmission, or if you have to resubmit, you can always resubmit. You browse, you find your file, and then you upload the file. So it's pretty straightforward, but they do give you a way to test it through AccuWage, so you don't have to submit. You can fix any errors before you submit. So that's pretty straightforward for the W-2s.
But anyways, when you go to run it, you should have just one warning on AccuWage. But if you do have errors, you can simply call us and we can help with any of the errors. If the IRS message isn't self-explanatory, and you still have questions about it, don't hesitate to call. Let's go into the 1099s. This is a brand new component again this year that we did. So we added the 1099 forms processor, and it takes a little bit to load all your I got tons of everybody has tons of vendors, but to load up these vendors, you pick your year. So we're going to go ahead and say 2022, and then you pick which form. Now this is important because the IRS and we can only do one form at a time. So the 1099 MISC will be our first form. I'll go ahead and load the year. And these are the people that it came up with or who owed us a 1099 miss. So what we want to do in here, and let me go back for a minute. The vendors that we're going to, figures my vendors are on the wrong page. All right, let me drag them back over here. The vendors that we bring up need to have the taxes turned on, and they would need to then specify a federal tax ID number or a Social Security number or an international tax ID number. You have the W-9 on file for them, and then you got to tell me whether they're NEC or MISC. So once you put all this information in, then we will consider that vendor a 1099 or a MISC vendor, just so that's where the data is coming from. So let me get back to it. Okay, so you've got 1099s have a lot of things they have to deal with. Number one, if you need to deal with, first of all, creating a file, we have the electronic file, and I'll leave that at the end. But we want to be able to show you that, we can certainly, by selecting everybody, you can come in here and you can print the 1099s. Now, with the avenue of with most people, the 1099s are going to be electronically for the A file, but some people will still want to purchase the package if they want the pretty formatted envelopes and the perforated paper and things like that. So we can print the 1099 still on the paper, we still format it so you can print it on the forms themselves if you purchase forms. Now, if you don't purchase forms and you just want to print it on plain paper, which you can do now, you just specify that plain paper and then we print the form right along with it. So here's your copy one for the state to send. And then here's your copy B to send. The instructions for copy B. Then the copy 2 is also to be sent. And the copy C is also to be sent. So there's 3 copies that should be sent to the individual company. And then there's one that goes to the state. So if you have people that aren't in the state of Michigan or aren't part of the state, the IRS, when you upload the files to the IRS, they have the agreements with the state to file the states. So double check on what you're doing. I think this year our upload doesn't do that, Paul. Is that right? The 1099 upload doesn't have that ability yet?
Correct. Our 1099 does not include the ability to do combined federal and state.
Okay, so your states ones you'll have to send by mail if they when you do that this year. Then you could also, we did add the ability for you to, if you want, email the 1099 form to one of your, because some of the newer places are going to want the 1099 to be emailed to them. So you can set that up. As long, I don't have an email set up on mine, but you basically do the same thing. You click email. It's going to ask you for a place to put the things. So I'll just select the folder I'm under. Yeah, I don't have an email. What it does is it generates all of the PDFs and then makes a nice formatted email and then submits, then attaches the PDF of their 1099 MISC form. Now, remember, we have to do this for each of the 2 different types of forms. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the MISC form. Let me just quickly talk about the 1096. The 1096 is usually the form that's the cover sheet for your 1099. So you'll need to print that if you're going to do it to the state. But it's also a good way to double check that what you have checked here is, what you believe is everything. So 1096, oh geez, I don't have it on my desktop for 2022. I only have 2023s. Okay, well, anyways, you get the point. You print this, it's the same as the other one. You can print it with the form or you can print it without the form. If you're going to be overlaying it on top of the official release forms to the that you can still purchase from there, but you don't have to. None of this, makes you have to. So let's go ahead and create the e-file then. Again, it's pretty anticlimactic. I'm going to choose the folder, the new folder, and it automatically generates a file because the file name has a certain importance to it. One of the things is now don't expect any of you do, but if you did have more than 100 vendors, there's a special file layout we have to do to create 2 files for it. So what I suggest doing is you create the first e-file for the MISC, and then you turn around and you do the NEC. And I don't think mine has any data for it. So when Paul goes to show you when he creates his, you'll see some data there. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and show you the file that it created. So you'll see where it says the 1099 MISC 2022 1 of 1 CSV. And that's because you could have one of 2 files, and it's important to keep the files you have together. You need to upload the one of before you upload the second one if you have more than 100. So it's really important that they get uploaded in the proper order to the IRS for the 1099.
All right, so I'm going to go to my 1099s and wait for it to load. And I'll select 2022. I do have some NEC, so I'll load that. I just want to point out when you click on the load, we do validate each vendor for certain formatting errors, such as we check to see to make sure they have a SSN or EIN and they have an address. And if they don't, we will print out an error and you won't be able to continue until you correct that error. So just some extra forms of validation. So when you actually go to upload the file, it should be properly formatted. If it isn't, if you still get errors on the upload, you please call us if it's an issue with formatting, because we want to make sure that when we generate these files, we don't have any formatting issues. But we also, along with the W-2s, we will include a button in the next update that will take you directly to the portal, so you don't have to try to get there and navigate the website yourself. It'll take you.
It'll say IRS 1099 login. It won't say portal.
Right. Yes. But
there'll be a button at least.
Yeah, there'll be a button, so you could just click on it, and it should take you right to
you need to create the file.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna go create file. I'm gonna put on my desktop. And there it created. I'm gonna also go ahead and create the NISC. So I have my two files, which are here, my NEC and my MISC. Now did you mention this morning that we don't have access to the portal right now?
Yeah, we don't know. We're gonna give it a try. Give it a whirl and see what you get.
But I did want to point out that we've made a notice of it before, but I want to point everyone again. Under our profundaccounting.com, under the support header, we have this IRS e-file info that includes several different help documents for the different portals and like W-2, ACA, and 1099. So I just want to make that resource available to you. So if you need extra help, some of these are actually very useful. But I am going to go ahead and give it a try. See if I can access it.
Yeah, this weekend they just had a major update, and so this is what we get as developers. They throw wrinkles at us, and then they don't tell us. Now we tried it this morning. We're going to do the webinar, and it's broken.
Like, yes,
great.
So when you log in, you will see a page that looks like this. If you have more than one portal, you'll see like your ACA, your IRIS, and just so you're aware that if you log into, say, directly to the IRIS portal, you will not be able to access this. It'll just come up and say your organization does not have roles.
Yeah, even though your organization does.
Even though it does, it's a little weird.
It's just
The only one you'll have access to is this one, and let's see if it works.
If it's gonna let you through.
It's loading.
Nope. There's supposed to be a code right underneath where you see transmitter code. There's supposed to be a code there, and for us, for whatever reason, for being on our access that's turned off, we got a notice on it. So it's just unfortunate the day that it happens. This happens to be today, because this weekend everything was down for updates for the whole weekend, and so this is, again, we're working on it. What we're going to do is when we are going to provide a full-blown official video on this that we're making over the next couple of days. So as soon as we have the access to it, there will be a video out there. Essentially, though, it's not too hard to quickly, briefly explain it.
I actually have a picture of it, so I can show the picture.
Yeah, show the picture.
It's actually this one. This is what your Homester dashboard looks like. So you can, for the start a new form, you can click on that and you can actually do step by step, fill out a 1099 MASC, for somebody, like if you only have one or two, if you want to do it that way, they step you through. They have all the different boxes that you can fill out the information. I tried it. It's very straightforward. And then but the one that I want to point your attention to is the upload CSV with form data. That's the one you'll be clicking on. And then there'll be a spot for you to, they say, click here to upload to browse for a file. And once you're there, you'll upload the file. One of these, please note, you can only do one at a time. You can select one file, and then once it's validated, which takes seconds, there'll be a button that says continue, and it'll take you to a review page where you can see in kind of like a data grid all the different the data for each row, which is one person, before you hit upload. And once that happens, it goes into view unsubmitted. It does not submit, but it just goes into unsubmitted forms where you can double check the data before you actually click on submit. And then to view submitted forms to see if they were rejected, accepted, it would be, you can just view the submitted forms. So that's kind of a brief overview of the dashboard. Again, it's very straightforward to use. So is there anything else you wanted to add?
Just make sure that at everybody, when you're doing this, it has the, you do one at a time. You go through and finish up your MISCs, get all those uploaded, go through the process of at least getting them to the point where they're past, there's a spot where when you get them, they're accepted, but they're not submitted yet to the IRS. So once you have everything in the, hasn't been submitted yet, that's kind of what you're going to need to do.
Yeah, we did have a question about the login in. So when you log into, so like say you're in 1099s and you click on the IRS portal to log into there and you sign in there, you will not be able to access your other portals.
Right. Even though it shows you a page with all the portals and all the different things you have access to, you can only access the 1099 one.
The one that you actually clicked on login for.
Right.
It isn't like, oh, I logged into this portal, but then it opens up everything else. That's, as of now, that is
yeah, it's not working correctly. Eventually they want to make it so that you just sign into, quote, the IRS, and then you get like this form here and you can click on any one of the three. But at the moment, you have to log into the 1099 portal. But when you do that, you only get access to the 1099 portal, which is the IRS TCC. Same thing happens with the W-2s, same thing with the ACA, as you're going to see in a minute.
Yep. The W-2s, because the W-2s are handled by the BSO.
Right, but that's going to all be the same eventually. Okay, so the next part is the ACA, and we kind of leaving that to last because that's not as well defined as we would like it at this point. Right now, ACA is under here. You already have it. The ACA was removed from the webinar. The ACA had massive changes to reflect the current status of the IRS. So we have made another video for specifically the ACA. So when you go to your Human Resources ACA modules, you can right click and select video and watch the YouTube video on the ACA.
You are now working smarter with ProFund Accounting. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.